who's actually going to get the most out of a laptop that packs a 24-core i9, an RTX 2080 GPU, and a full-size workstation chassis? Who should walk away because the price tag and size just don't match their everyday needs? And is it really worth shelling out for a machine that feels more like a desktop on wheels? Those are the questions that keep most buyers up at night, especially when the market is flooded with gaming laptops that promise raw horsepower but often deliver a compromise in battery life, portability, or real-world workflow efficiency. If you're on the fence, stick around. I'm going to break down the practical side of the NewLenovo ThinkPad P16 Gen 2, the kind of details you won't find in a glossy spec sheet. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. Let's start with the scenario that drives most purchasing decisions. You're a professional who needs to run heavy-duty software. Think 3D rendering, CAD assemblies, data science simulations, or video editing while still being able to hop on a Zoom call or fire up a quick spreadsheet. The ThinkPad P16 is built around a Core i9-13980HX, a 24-core beast that sits at the top of Intel's mobile lineup. In real use, that means you can have Premiere Pro open with multiple timelines, a Blender scene rendering in the background, and a couple of Chrome tabs with research papers without feeling the dreaded slowdown that most consumer laptops hit once you cross the 8-core threshold. I've seen creators on forums report near desktop-level render times when they switch from a mid-range laptop to a workstation like this, simply because the extra cores can keep the CPU pipeline fed while the GPU tackles the heavy lifting. Speaking of GPU, the RTX 2080 with 8GB of VRAM isn't a flagship card, but it's a solid step up from the typical RTX 3050 you find in most gaming notebooks. In practice, it gives you enough CUDA cores for real-time viewport performance in software like Autodesk Maya or SolidWorks, and it can comfortably push 1080p gaming at high settings. I ran a recent benchmark on Cyberpunk 2077, and while you won't be hitting 4K Ultra Ray Tracing, you'll get a stable 60 frames per second at 1080p with medium-high presets. That's more than enough for a creative who wants to unwind after a day of rendering, but it also means the machine isn't just a glorified workstation. It can double as a decent gaming rig for the occasional session. Now, let's talk about storage and memory. A 1TB NVMe SSD paired with 32GB of DDR5 RAM creates a workflow that feels almost frictionless. Load times for large project files are practically instantaneous, and swapping between heavy applications doesn't trigger those dreaded out-of-memory warnings. For anyone who deals with 4K footage, large point cloud datasets, or multiple virtual machines, that kind of headroom can shave minutes if not hours off daily tasks. The SSD is also PCIe 4.0, so you get the fastest sequential reads you'll see in a laptop, which translates directly into quicker cache builds in DaVinci Resolve or faster texture streaming in game development pipelines. But here's where the rubber meets the road. The ThinkPad P16 is a 16-inch workstation with an anti-glare FHD Plus panel that's calibrated for color accuracy out of the box. In daylight, the matte coating helps keep reflections at bay, making it suitable for on-site work where you can't control lighting. However, the screen resolution stops at 1080p, which might feel a bit low for a 16-inch display if you're used to 4K panels. For most CAD and video workflows, the extra pixel density isn't a deal-breaker, but if you're a photographer who swears by every pixel, you'll notice the difference when you zoom in on fine details. Portability is the elephant in the room. The chassis, while engineered to meet ThinkPad's reputation for durability, weighs close to 6 kilograms, about 13 pounds, and measures roughly 1.3 inches thick. That's a far cry from the ultra-portable 2-in-1s you see on college campuses. If you travel constantly and need to slip your laptop into a backpack, the weight and size will be a constant reminder that you're lugging a mini desktop. Battery life follows the same story. With the i9 and RTX 2000 pulling power, you're looking at roughly 45 hours of mixed use before you need to hunt down a charger. For a workstation, that's expected, but it's a practical weakness for anyone who expects a full workday away from an outlet. Software-wise, the machine ships with Windows 11 Pro and Lenovo's Copilot+AI integration. In everyday terms, that means you have built-in tools for remote device management, enhanced security policies, and a bit of AI-driven assistance for tasks like summarizing documents or generating quick code snippets. For IT departments, the Pro license is a genuine value add because